I'm Tom Paolino. I'm here on Staten Island, the fifth borough, and I'm an actor, and I teach and I write, and my purpose is to live life joyfully.
Hi, this is the Strong Body, Strong Soul show. This show is all about energy, highs and lows of life. Tom Paolino. We are going to be talking about his acting career a little bit, but mostly we're going to be talking about the power of technology to reach across the world. We're going to be talking about how he is making a difference, service in this world across the globe. I'm so thrilled that I got him to come on to this interview with me. I'm so excited that you guys are here to tune in. I do want to give you a heads up. We were having so much fun during this conversation talking about following your bliss. Towards the end of the interview, we got all excited and we had to turn it over into a second interview where we got a little more philosophical. This one's a little lighter, talking about the kids in China and such. I had so much fun talking with Tom. I hope you have fun listening or watching, whatever platform you happen to be on. Don't forget to pay attention to the toys he's going to share. He acts like a tough guy, but he is sweet. So everybody, I have Tom Paolino here with me right now on the split screen. He's in New York. I'm in California. He's an actor. He's an amazing actor. One of the movies that he was in was The Purge, which is a sci-fi movie. And we're talking a little bit about how important it is to use technology. We have sci-fi preparing us, I think, for the pandemic, for things like this. Imagination can be crazier than reality and vice versa, right? I wanted to ask you on to the show here because I'm always talking about energy, the energy of connecting people across audio, because that's how I have my podcast, Strong Body, Strong Soul, and YouTube, whatever it may be. And it doesn't even, I don't need to know who's hearing me or us. I just put it out there because I'm hoping our conversation will help shift people's thinking a little bit out there in the world as we go through this crisis together as a human species. I have a lot of viewers out there that might be, in London, in Australia, all over the place. I don't know when you guys are listening to this. And frankly, what Tom and I are about to talk about, the rules are changing all the time too. We're talking about what type of face masks to wear, what kind of sanitizer, how long the virus stays on surfaces. It's changing all the time. It's constant change. The reason I wanted to have Tom on the show here is because I want to talk about how to cope with change, with the volatile environment that we all live in. And I think from an acting perspective, it's interesting because you have to switch gears all the time depending on what the role you're playing, whether it's a police detective or a crazy guy in that movie, The Purge. And I think we all have a little bit of a lot of different characters in our personalities. And we need to share those. The more we communicate about it, the more we get out there in life and connect with other people, the more evolved we become, the bigger we get by sharing. Mm-hmm. So I think it's fascinating. Tom, one of the things that I talk about sometimes here on the show is the need to unplug and get off of social media, off of your screen time, right? But right now we find ourselves in the necessity of having to share a screen like this. We're on the split screen right now. It is the only way that we can communicate like this. It's brilliant. I love it that I can reach across the country to talk to you. What do you think? How do you use technology to connect with other people? Let's stick with this crisis right now. In the quarantine, how have you been using it?
Well, Preciousness of Life, Maria, I have a neighbor who I never talk to, except the other day I went outside and I hadn't had a face-to-face conversation with someone in like a week. Uh-huh. And I made time to talk to that neighbor, and it was very helpful. So I think I've heard a lot about this lately, is people who hadn't talked to their cousin in 10 years, or my college roommates and I did a 6-way Zoom call recently, or my stepsister in Puerto Rico, my brother in Providence, where I think there is a silver lining always. And I always like to focus on what's working, what's positive, and certainly reaching out to people, a fresh appreciation for the preciousness of life. These are the silver linings in this situation.
Yes, yes. I think also it's forcing a lot of people out there that have been afraid of technology to embrace it. Recently I saw Marianne Williamson speak about her experience running for presidential candidate, and she was talking in a spiritual sense about a lot of people out there. They need to make use of it. And that was a couple of months ago. That was before the pandemic. She was talking about the need for people to express themselves on a platform that can reach more people. And I've been saying this for years. I truly believe that technology is a gift from the divine, from God, whatever you want to call it. I think it is here, and it's meant for us to connect with people that are like-minded wherever they are in the world. It's just amazing. And I mean, obviously, as an actor, everything, a lot of energy that you're putting out there is recorded. You don't know when people are watching your movies that you've been, of course. Everything you put out there is meant for someone to watch in the future too.
Mm-hmm.
And I think our voices and our energy can get out there to more. Now, in addition to acting, I know that you reach out to a lot of people to help them. What do you do in addition to acting?
I teach. I love kids, and I teach. This is my virtual classroom here. I teach
Okay.
kids in China.
Oh, wow. How do
And
you do that?
on an internet platform called VIP Kid.
Okay.
And so I teach early in the morning, late at night. It's 12-hour difference between here and Beijing. So I'm sometimes up very, very early, and it's great, quiet. No one's up. The phone isn't ringing.
Wow.
And I get to be with these kids and offer them my experience, strength, hope, information. It's great.
That's beautiful. Now, how many kids are they all in the same room together when you're teaching a class?
No, it's just one-on-one, and they're
Oh,
anywhere from 3 years old to, I think my oldest is 13.
oh,
Um,
cute.
we do everything from basic alphabets to lessons distinguishing Ramadan from Kwanzaa, and it's a whole lot of fun. They're great. They're awesome. I love them.
So, are you speaking English the whole time, or do you speak Chinese?
I'm speaking English the whole time. There's no lesson plans, no homework to be graded. I write some feedback at the end of each class for the parents. I have an introductory video, and it's very basic stuff.
Uh-huh.
Very basic vocabulary, punctuation, grammar, and they just, in some cases, it's the first American they've ever seen or talked to. So it's very exciting stuff.
Right. So you've already been in the trenches, so to speak, on the use of technology to connect. And are you continuing? Are the families there able to continue with their lessons, or are they really affected by the virus right now?
Well, it's interesting. They're actually just starting to go back to school now, and they've been in their homes for several weeks and sometimes longer.
Uh-huh.
Um, and there's been a lot of emotional breakdowns that I've never seen before, which I think is related to the atmosphere. A couple kids just burst into tears recently, and I, in one case, took the entire lesson to basically give them a counseling session. And I have a master's degree in counseling, so that comes in handy sometimes.
Wow.
Um, in China, it's a very, very, very intense educational situation where the parents are extremely interested in their kids excelling and learning English in particular. So,
Well, I'm sure they can learn from you as well, the parents themselves.
the parents themselves. Sometimes you get like a little brother or sister who sits there too, and they're learning alongside. And
Uh-huh.
I have puppets, and they love the monkey.
Uh-huh.
I have a magic trick here. I'll show you my magic trick. I have different rewards that I have created for them. One of them is a magic trick, which I use sometimes for the kids, and I'll show you right now, Maria. So I'm going to take this leg and put it in my mouth. One, two, three. Take it out of my ear. In my ear, out the other ear.
Oh, that works perfect on the screen like that.
Yeah, it's really a lot of fun for them. And, I have different things like this is a very American thing, the 8 ball. Remember this when you were a
Oh,
kid and you
yes,
go
yes,
over and
yes.
got a little window and you ask it a yes or no question. And then I show them the answer to that. We have Mrs. Potato Head. This particular Mrs. Potato Head has a feather in her cap. But I'll pop out the eyes and
Uh-huh.
say eyes, very basic stuff. It's a whole lot of fun.
That's great. That's great that you have that. Now, do you have kids of your own, or do you just like those toys?
I don't have any kids of my own. I have these toys.
I love it.
Uh, as far as you know, these toys are strictly for educational purposes.
Yeah. That's right. That's right. And it's so funny because we're talking about social media using technology. Did you see there was a recent story about a woman that was on a Zoom call, a really important meeting, and her kids had changed the settings and she was there as a potato during the meeting. It was some crazy filter.
Yes, the stickers, we call those the AR stickers,
Yes,
and yeah, they
yes.
have.
And then the
There's
big
a lot of
joke is, oh, I'm going to put pants on today. You guys out there watching, you don't know if we have pants on or not.
yeah. It's a whole new world. It's a whole new
It
world.
really is. It really is. And I'm going to switch gears. Unless do you teach in your local area as well?
I have taught. I've been in the Bronx as a teaching artist not too long ago, second graders. I had a writing and acting residency there where it culminated in a show for the parents. The kids had written their own material. And I've done quite a bit of teaching. I was actually a guidance counselor in Los Angeles for 3 years at Westchester High School. So I had like a whole separate career back in the early 2000s.
Wow, wow. Wow. Well, I want to switch gears right now because before we began talking, you mentioned meditation,
Mm.
but you just pulled out that 8 ball thing too.
Hmm. Hmm.
And I want to talk for a moment about our preconceived ideas about what things are, what they mean. Because a lot of people, that 8 ball scared a lot of people. It's like the Ouija board or something, right? And
Mm.
I think that meditation, that word scares people. We
Yeah.
have these preconceived ideas of vocabulary about what things mean. And recently, I've been obviously with the pandemic, we need to look at the world differently. Just the other day, I was on LinkedIn with some people, and I was saying, maybe we need a little more woo woo in our lives right now. And we need to be looking at things a little differently. What do you think? What do you think about that I, idea of reaching outside our comfort zones, perhaps?
Well, I have a lot of ideas about that, Maria. I think um, sitting with one's feelings, being present, very, very difficult, I think, for all of us
Mhm.
human beings to just be present. And uh, our whole society is geared to distract you from what's really going on. And whether it be sugar or the news, I mean, it's everywhere. And so to take a strong position and say, I'm going to feel my feelings, uh, breathe, listen, be still, take 15 minutes a day to turn off the phone and do nothing.
Mhm.
It's really not nothing because everything is already in your body. All the information, all the answers you need are in your body, in your intuition.
Mhm.
And there's a lot of freedom in that.
Mhm.
So um, so I've made a practice of meditation and other ways to be present because my whole joy relies on it.
Right.
And it's not that I'm uninformed. I stay informed with certain news sources, um, but to have CNN rattling on endlessly in the background is just not a kind of thing that I think is good for anyone.
Right.
Um, and so I make a conscious choice. You know, consciousness, being a conscious person requires stillness and quiet and reflection and boundaries.
Yeah. Yeah. And we're being forced into it right and now with our situation. And it's a good thing. It's a good thing. It's a wake up call for sure to get in touch with what's really important. Um, I know so many careers, I think, are going to change permanently because, especially like in my situation, I'm around a lot of attorneys. And in the legal profession in particular, if you work from home in the past, it's been considered really wimpy. You can't get a lot done at home. That's you're choosing lifestyle over your career. But now in this current situation, things are shifting. You know, judges are needing to do things virtually. Of course, attorney everybody is shifting. And maybe it will wake us up and help remind us maybe you don't have to spend an hour in your car getting to an office and an hour getting home. That's 2 hours of your day that you've been doing that for 10 years. Maybe you can set yourself up at home and be as productive. I think the level of production, and you're absolutely right what you just said, just the whole idea of our whole society is about produce, 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 constant output. And we need to stop and allow a little bit of input to start happening too. Um, and I just think I think it's a beautiful thing how you're talking about teaching, and I think that's a great way to share your gifts. I think that one of the things I'm talking about oftentimes is the more we give, the more we receive. You don't run out of love. You don't run out of energy. You can feel depleted. So I absolutely agree. I think meditation, taking that time, is not a waste of time. I think our priorities and our definition of how energy is spent, it needs to shift a little bit.
That would be great. I mean, that would be a great thing. And who knows? I mean, who knows what will come from this? Definitely, definitely a profound shift. But you know, what comes to mind as I listen to you is what happened around 9/11 here in New York City. Now, I wasn't here at that time, but what I heard is that everyone was really, really nice to each other for about a week, and then everything went right back. So while it's true, and let me just make sure I speak for my fellow New Yorkers and say when there's like a car that needs to be turned over, New Yorkers will be there. But on a moment to moment basis, whether you're being shoved in the subway or you know, someone is yelling expletives at you because they didn't get what they wanted, um, it's not always tolerant and kind. So um, I would like to see more of that. And yet, my point is that it's a personal commitment, right? Um, so I have a choice as an individual to do any number of things, and the world could change radically, and I could stay stuck if I'm receiving some benefit from being stuck. And of course, lots of people do. I personally want to move forward, open up, expand, because I think the nature of life is expansion. We know that from certain physical laws.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and whatever resentment or you know, anger I have, I want to dissolve so that I can, as you say, let things in. You know, one of the things I learned in acting school from my teacher, Sanford Meiser, amazing teacher, was that the real power of an artist is the capacity to be moved, not to move you. So you would think, oh, the actor's job is to move the audience. Actually, it's to be moved. So if I'm here, listen. So in fact, I'm using what I learned in acting school right now with you. I'm really trying with all my might to stay with you and put my attention exclusively on you, so that I'm affected, I'm moved by what you're saying, by what's in your eyes, by your facial expressions, by the tone and pitch of your voice. And acting is an empathic art form. So if I'm moved, the audience will be moved. And this is a great secret to the art form of acting. But in order to be moved, I have to first be present, right? So the real question is, how do you get present? And one of the things I've been doing since I started the quarantine was yoga. I've done yoga every day for 21 days in a row through my yoga studio here on Staten Island. They have virtual classes now. This is the longest I've ever gone consecutive yoga, 21 days. And you know, yoga has been around for thousands and thousands of years for a good reason. So whatever your modality, you know, there's no right or wrong to this, I think, but I think just being open and curious really about something that will help each of us be in the present moment. There's so much beauty. You know, I put my chair next to my window because obviously I'm not going out as much and really as little as possible. But I've found things just outside my window that I never saw before. I saw 3 cardinals yesterday. There's an amazing tree right across the street and an American flag draped underneath it, which is together they're just gorgeous, right? And so so everything that we need and really want is right here, right now. This is the great secret. There's a Buddhist story. I don't know if you've heard it. I'm on a bit of a rant now, but I'll keep going, where there's a homeless guy and he's sitting on a box. I don't know if you've heard this one. He's sitting on a box and he's begging for money and begging for money. And the Buddha comes down the road and the guy begs the Buddha for money. And the Buddha says, look under your box. And the guy says, get out of here. You know, there's nothing. It's a box. It's what I sit on. It's a dirty, old, disgusting thing. And then the Buddha walks on and the guy sits there and he sits there a little bit longer and he thinks, well, what the heck? Maybe I'll look under it. And under his own box is gold. So I really think, especially when it comes to answers, like, what should I do? Who should I marry? What career should I? And Joseph Campbell talks about this, one of my favorite people from The Power of Myth, that follow your bliss. He tells his students, follow your bliss. And so when you get, like I'm getting tingles right now because part of my bliss is teaching, then you know, your body knows.
You have no idea. Joseph Campbell, The Power of Myth, that was a direction I was going to go in with this conversation with you.
Wow.
I think I was literally going to start with that only because of the whole idea of that movie, The Purge, and science fiction and our imagination and creativity. I love Joseph Campbell. I want to talk to you more, but I want to go ahead and I want to conclude this particular interview and talk to you more another time. And I want everyone out there watching to come back because we're going to have another conversation that we're going to go a little deeper. Tom Paolino. That is who I'm talking with right now, you guys. Come back another time and we'll continue our conversation. Thank you for being here. I am Maria, by the way, just in case you forget. Strong Body, Strong Soul. That's the name of the show. Go ahead and subscribe. Watch out for the titles on the episodes. Sometimes they're funny and sometimes they're profound. Come back. We're going to be a little profound in our next conversation. I promise.
Thanks for having me.
I hope you had fun listening to this conversation. Remember to come back for the second part of our interview. Go ahead, subscribe to the show here, Strong Body, Strong Soul, and make sure to tell your friends about it too. Leave comments below or send us messages. We are happy to answer any questions. Perhaps you have some insights based on our conversation here. Thank you so much for being here. I love you.